We are now live.
So welcome everybody to this hybrid meeting of the Employment Committee. Please note the meeting is being broadcast and recorded. For clarity, voting is only permitted by members in the room. Any member joining remotely is able to participate in the debate, but not the vote. Other than that, usual rules apply. Agenda item 1 is apologies for absence. Please could you give us the apologies?
I've received apologies from Councillor Gilby, Councillor Neal and Councillor Forster.
I can see the members of the committee who are in attendance and their names will be recorded in the minutes. Please can the clerk confirm if any members are joining remotely, and could those members please confirm their attendance when Jamie calls your name?
I can see Councillor McLean is online. Councillor McLean?
Present.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you. Hello, Councillor McLean. Agenda item 2, declarations of interest. The full text for the declarations is set out on the agenda. If any member does have a disclosable pecuniary interest or an effective interest, please indicate and I will come to you in turn. Thank you. There are no declarations, but I can remind anyone that you can make a declaration at any point. Agenda item 3, minutes from the previous meeting. Are members happy to approve the minutes of the meeting held last on the 7th of February 2024 and the minutes of the annual meeting, which was the 15th of May 2024? Please confirm you are happy. You happy, Jerry? Thank you. So they're approved. Agenda item 4, urgent items of business. Is there any urgent items of business?
No non-notified, Chair.
Agenda item 5, update from the local joint committee, which sat earlier. There was no particular points raised by the members of the local joint committee. We went through the papers that we're going to discuss today, and they were approved by the local joint committee. Agenda item 6, the minutes of the subgroups. Please, are you happy to note the minutes of the local joint committee held on the 7th of February 2024? We don't need to put this to the vote, so please just confirm you're happy. Agenda item 7, so this is the body of what we're discussing today, the HR policy review, and I invite Paul Young to please present this item. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Chair. Item 7 for the HR policy reviews. From the committee will be aware that we're doing a sequence of HR policy reviews at the moment. The latest number is 7 policies to come to committee this evening. I think the majority of the changes are really quite minimal as previous policies, so there are not any in particular that I need to highlight. Anything to do with the paternity and maternity support leave procedure. Likewise with the agile working policy and the smoke-free workforce policy, workplace policy, I should say. The smoke-free policy, we did have a comment at the local joint from Councillor Allen just to clarify some wording to do with smoking in the home. So there is a slight amendment to one of the paragraphs on that. But for those 3 policies, are there any questions from the committee before I go on to the others? The 3 I'm talking about now is the 5.3, the paternity and maternity support leave, 5.4, the agile working policy, and 5.5, the smoke-free workplace policy.
So can I just clarify that the bit that I was asking you to change was on the buildings and structures 6.1 of the smoke-free policy, where if you're in your own home, it mentions what you do in 6.2, but it doesn't actually say. But 6.1 starts off with this policy applies to all premises, So I was just going to get you to clarify that all premises excluded your own home.
That's correct, and that's the wording we're going to change. In which case I'll go on to 5.6, the maternity pay and leave policy. This has been updated and to take into account the neonatal paid leave arrangements, which come into line in April 2025. The reason for highlighting this particular policy is that traditionally through Employment Committee, where we've had family-friendly policies that are coming in, we have implemented the policy and the change to the policy before the legal deadline. And that's in recognition of our family-friendly policies, as I mentioned. So there is a decision for Employment Committee to consider. We have worked through the consultation with trade unions and clearly with the corporate management team and other notable groups within the council, and they are very supportive of the approach to allow the Neonatal Care Leave and Pay Act details to be taken effect with immediately rather than waiting for next April. So I'm asking tonight for Employment Committee to confirm that you're happy for that to take effect with immediate effect rather than waiting for the legislation deadline of the April 1st, 2025.
I don't have any questions on that. Does anybody else?
Just to clarify, I also mentioned in the local joint committee earlier on paragraph, the definitions paragraph, that ordinary maternity leave and additional maternity leave need to have their abbreviations put in because the abbreviation appears further down the document and then is unreferenceable. So.
Thank you. I was going to come to that very shortly. So, Councillor Allen, you beat me to it.
I was doing that as part of clarification because I guess we'll be voting on the
Yes, indeed.
immediacy of the neonatal policy anyway.
Yes, indeed. Thank you.
So I think we can move to the recommendations set out in the report. Can I have a seconder, please?
Happy to second the recommendation. Councillor Allen.
Thank you. I don't wish to speak on the recommendations other than say, you know, I think it is right and proper that you are putting these in place before the legal deadline. I can't imagine there's a huge need or demand for neonatal care, thankfully, but it's right and proper that we should support families in difficult times. Would you like to speak, Councillor Allen? Would anybody else like to speak? Councillor McCain has not got his hand up. So I'll ask all those in favour of the recommendations to raise their hands, please.
That is carried.
Thank you very much. So we'll move on to agenda item 8, which is the pay award update. Again,
Yes, I would just cover the last three
Okay,
policies
sorry, yes.
briefly. The last three policies, as the previous policies, there aren't great volumes of changes. The changes are listed in the covering report. I'm happy to take any questions on them. There isn't anything of note that I want to highlight for committee.
I don't have any questions. Any further questions? Can we take 7 and 8? Can we take these two together then and approve them together? And do you have any issues with that? No. Would you be happy to second?
Happy to second the approval of the 5, 6 and 7, yeah.
Thank you very much. So assuming nobody else wants to speak on that, I think we can vote on that, approving this set of recommendations.
That's carried.
Thank you. Now we can move to agenda item 8, the pay award update. Paul, please.
Thank you, Chair. The pay award, I just wanted to provide a short update to the committee of the status of the 2024 pay award. The pay claim from the trade unions was received, I think it was at the end of March, April time, which is detailed in the pack. But just for the committee, the pay claim was a 3K or a 10% pay increase, whichever was the greater, a reduction in the working week of 2 hours, 1 additional day's leave for staff well-being, review pay gaps for equality, and a phased approach for reaching £15 per hour. How, for the committee's information, the pay award works with the trade unions making their pay claim. It then goes through to the national employers, who then come back with a response to the claim. And as documented, the national employers' response is that the offer they want to propose is an increase of 1,290 for full-time, and clearly part-time workers would get pro rata that amount for spinal column points 2 to 43 on the pay spine, and then 2.5% on all pay points above pay point 43, and 2.5% on all allowances. Clearly that response is some way off the claim, and as you would anticipate, the trade unions took the pay offer to their members, and have been balloting members to either accept or reject that pay award. We first heard back from Unison, and Unison confirmed that through their ballot, their members had chosen to decline the pay offer. We then, just this week, had a response from the GMB, and the GMB, through their membership and their ballot, have actually chosen to accept the pay offer. But then just today, the third union involved is Unite. We have heard today that their members, through their ballot, have chosen to reject the pay offer. How this stands at the moment is that clearly we've got 2 of the unions that have rejected through their ballots. GMB have accepted, so there will be some further dialogue between the unions themselves to discuss their position on this. So we are not currently at the stage where we can give an indication where this pay award will actually be agreed or not. I just wanted to give a quick overview that this pay award is for the vast majority of our workforce, and there's a term, the Green Book, which is the National Joint Council, and this applies to almost all of the workforce apart from a few groups such as the Chief Executive, Executive Directors and Assistant Directors, and Salisbury officers. And the Salisbury officers are individuals primarily working in the education sector, education psychologists and education advisors. So just for the committee's perspective then, we're not currently in a position to say that the pay award has been agreed, but we will update the committee as and when we hear any further updates from the trade unions. Given that 2 of the trade unions have rejected, there is the potential that there could be some form of industrial action moving forward, but given the position of GMB, there may well be just further dialogue as well. So happy to take any questions on this current position, and then what I would say is if there's any other updates to this which falls outside the committee schedule, then I would just send a communication out so you're aware what's going on. Okay, thank you. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much. Is it fairly typical that you would find yourself in this position?
Yeah, it's followed a similar theme over the last number of years, and there's been the pay disputes that have gone on some time to the year, and this is a pay award which is due from the 1st of April, so it's very rare to get the pay award agreed to be implemented at that date. I think last year it was in November and backdated till April. The previous year it was, I think it was even February, so almost getting the full year before the pay award was absolutely agreed. So it brings real challenges, and I think clearly with the current economy and the challenges people are facing financially, then it is a shame that we've actually got this dispute. Clearly, the dispute is a national one, not a local one against Bracknell Forest Council, but it does clearly impact on our workforce. So we will give updates to the staff at the various staff briefings of where we're at with this, so they're fully up to speed with it. And likewise, the trade unions will do also.
Thank you. Any other questions? Councillor Allen.
Yeah, I think actually a local joint, I also asked you to clarify the bit about the phased approach for reaching £15 per hour, and you said basically it'd probably be overtaken by events, but carry on.
Yes, it would likely be overtaken by events, but that was part of the pay claim from the trade unions. What is noticeable through the pay offer, it is just a pay offer on the finance side. There is no question or no response at all in terms of what the arrangements would be to do with additional leave for wellbeing, a reduction in the working week. So the pay offer is looking formally at the finance. So that hasn't come to anything as far as the pay claim is concerned. But it's something that as a council we will keep an eye on anyway, because we will keep an eye on the living wage through Bracknell Forest, and through our current pay scales we're above the minimum and the living wage anyway.
Any further questions? Well, thank you, Paul, and thank you, members of the committee, for attending this evening. I can now declare the meeting closed.